So today I want to discuss something and give some suggestions that you can do in the next 30 days or so to start feeling better mentally and physically. And in the addiction space, there's a lot of things that, especially when it comes to treatment, that you need to do on paper. There's a lot of inner work that needs to happen, but most of the time we don't think ourselves out of situations. We move ourselves out of situations. And so these are a couple very simple action steps that you can take to start rising out of the hole that you might be in. And behind myself, I have written out what they are, and I'm going to dissect each one of them and tell you why. And this is from my own personal experience as well as what I see countless men do in the early stages of recovery. And so the first one is move your body. And I don't care what that looks like, whether it's yoga. My personal favorite is resistance training, lifting weights, because of the amount of natural chemicals that we release when we're breaking down muscles is very similar to what you would get from a pharmaceutical script from a doctor. And so my viewpoint is, why not get that same exact influx of chemicals from a holistic standpoint? So I don't care, yoga, lift weights, run, walk, swim. The fact is, when we are in the throes and grips of addiction and alcoholism, the likelihood of us going outside and doing something physical is low due to the fact that we're intoxicated, and honestly, it's quite dangerous. And so this is a simple way to start reversing the effects produced that have occurred over the last few years. And so the next one is sleep. Sleep allows us to heal from the inside out. We start healing our neuroplasticity, the brain starts to repair, we start to get our hormones rebalanced and whatnot. And so my suggestion that I always give clients early on is get about 7 hours, give or take. And the best way that you can do that, and these two align very well. And to take another step, when we are in the throes of addiction and whatnot, we are not disciplined. We don't have any sort of structure to our lives. Everything is off the hip, and time is completely out of our control, which is a lot of the times why we see people get so resentful and angry and think that life is happening at them and they're not happening with life. And so if you can structure this accordingly, we're starting to gather some discipline. And the more disciplined we are, we start to take back our time and actually begin to feel free. And so with sleep, I always try to put a time frame. Myself personally, 10 a.m. to 5 a.m. I try to be asleep by 10 and I'm up by 5 and I'm working out. And so those back-to-back set myself up on a daily basis for success. And so about 7 hours is definitely what we suggest. And now this is interesting, and something that I heard early on is you can't change what you don't track. And if you're not tracking something, well, you can't optimize it to make it better. And so this is about as simple as an exercise as you can get to start tracking your behaviors and develop new character patterns. And what I have here is get a journal, just a simple spiral notebook will do, and make a list every single day and put a line down the middle and put good and bad. And I have bad written on something I want to expand on, because in society as a whole, we are more likely to focus on the negative. You turn on the news, generally it's negative. You go on social media, you find something negative. And the internal dialogue that we create in our head is normally focused on the negative. And we call that focusing on the red ink, which is why I have it written in red. Now, from a personal development standpoint, if you are tracking what you're doing incorrectly or something that you deem bad, well, if you track it and you see yourself doing it 4 or 5 days in a row, you can do something about it. But instead, what most people do is they just internalize it, and it's like in a hamster wheel inside of their head. Oh, I didn't do X today. I didn't do Y today. I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, they don't do it. The same message, and it's just this vicious cycle in a mental battle that we go through. I experience this even to this day in the depths of my recovery. And so if we track what we're doing bad, we can change it. Now, on the good, we need to give ourselves some credit. If you put down the bottle, if you put down a drug, you need to validate yourself to realize what you are doing is worth it. And these don't have to be anything totally crazy. We got to keep it simple. Good might be perhaps you worked out. You got your 7 hours of sleep. Maybe you had a good conversation with your mom or dad. Put it down. Things that you weren't doing when you were actively using. And on the bad, sure, maybe you skipped your workout and you're like, oh, dang it, I didn't work out today. Put it here so you recognize it. And then the next thing you know, you've got a couple of weeks of data that you can look back and optimize. And so again, these are 3 very, very simple tasks that you can do. To be honest, this really doesn't have to do with only drinking. I wish that everybody in the world would do this. We would probably have a better look at ourselves and we wouldn't be so judgmental and being judged all at once. And so I hope this helps you. If this is something that doesn't seem obtainable to you because you are still so mentally fogged and perhaps not being able to put down the bottle or the drug, just reach out to us. This is some of the small practices and tangible acts that we take on a daily basis inside of Calusa Recovery. So I hope this was informative to you. If we can ever help, please reach out.